Yo, what's up guys? Lucky here with another Apex Legend video. Still a bit sick as you can tell, but we gonna continue to push with these videos, and today we're gonna talk about the one and only, our fave, smoke popping, missile dropping, double timing female in Apex, Miss Ambush herself, Bangalore, and yes, I did practice saying that, so I got everything right. Bangalore, also known as Anita Williams, age 35, home planet Gridiron, tactical smoke launcher, passive double time, ultimate rolling thunder. Alright, so Bangalore and her parents and her four older brothers have always served in the IMC since they were young. She's been the top of her class and the only cadet who can take apart a Peacekeeper and equip it with a precision choke hop up and put it back together in under 20 seconds while blindfolded. So, that is something very impressive in the Titanfall universe, I assume. So, let's get right into it, guys. Forgive me for being sick if I sound a little off, but let's get into it. With that said, Bangalore does work for the IMC, which in the Titanfall universe, those are the bad guys. IMC stands for Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation. It's basically a company that started in Earth, but with Earth support, they were able to take their jobs to other planets. And what they do is they basically set up camp on your planet. They take your natural resources for themselves, and you kind of just have to put up with it in a sense. Now, this doesn't mean that they're the bad guys, but they're kind of colonizing to spread out into the universe and to venture off into other homelands for resources to kind of guarantee the survival. But as you guys know, it does backfire in a sense and it comes off wrong. So if you think about it, you can compare it to a lot of real world stuff, like how certain countries go to other countries for oil, gold, or other mineral deposits, and they take them, they pay for it, etc. And sometimes things go wrong and wars are started. Well, that's exactly what happened between the IMC and the planet that they basically went to take all of their minerals. So basically, the militia got tired of taking IMC's, BS. They started their own little rebel group. It got big, and eventually they all started to fight back. It started a very big war, and that's when the Titan Wars were started. Now, all of this caused a lot of damage. A lot of lives were lost in the Titanfall universe, and well, the usage of all of these, Atlas Titans, these big machines, it created a war not just on the planet but throughout the frontier and all of the core systems itself. Now, as we know, Bangalore does have a brother, or did have a brother. If you guys hadn't already seen an Apex, there is basically a picture of her hanging from the inside of a ship and there's somebody falling out. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys on screen basically the story that goes behind all of that, all of Bangalore's lore, and it's very interesting to say the least. You kind of do sympathize for her, and you kind of do begin to wonder, was she really on the enemy side, or was she really doing what she thought was good? So basically, this is the article that seems to be like it was written by some kind of news station on Bangalore, stating that she's not really aware that the war ended. She's kind of lost, which is very common with someone that deals with some kind of traumatic event. It's very hard to process what actually happened. There may be some blanks in the memories itself, but we're gonna go ahead, get right into. I'm gonna show you guys the exact dialogue and everything. You guys let me know what you guys think. Alright, so I'm not exactly sure how well you guys can see what is on screen, but it's basically a conversation between Anita, which is Bangalore, and her brother Jackson. They're talking about some kind of noise that I'm guessing they're hearing in the ship or in the kind of hallway that they're in. And she's basically telling him that they still have a good amount of the hull that they have to go through. I'm guessing they're checking inventory in the back of the ship or the hull or something. Her and her brother start to disagree. He starts to tell her that, he gave her a direct order, and she's letting him, well, no, my bad. He's letting her know that There's a 406T, which is a Titan, on the outer hull in airlock Bravo. He's saying engaged. I repeat, engaged. So there's some kind of fight that is about to occur where they're at. Well, the next image is basically the last of the recording. There's an explosion. All you hear is Bangalore yelling Jackson. She's basically yelling his name a lot. She's saying a couple sentences. A lot of the words are unintelligible. You can't even hear them. And then the final Jackson appears to be a cry for help or a scream, of fear or just sadness, whatever it is she witnessed. So they've basically questioned Bangalore on does she remember the events. She has a lot of missing spots, which is why at the beginning they wondered, does she even know who won the war? Does she even know what happened? Does she even know that basically nobody survived? And they basically are trying to figure out missing information on what happened and what happened between her and her brother. But she does state that the brother is not dead. So I'm not exactly sure if this is something that's gonna tie into Apex Legends later, like if they'll bring the brother into the Apex games and have it as some kind of duel to where if you play as both of them, you get some kind of like upper advantage on the other team. But she does state that her brother is not dead, and she's basically trying to figure out what's going on with her brother. Why is there such a mystery behind his disappearance? She's not really talking to the media too much on it. Now, another interesting thing about Bangalore is that Gridiron, hopefully I said that correctly, is a planet on the frontier in the universe of Titanfall where some of the war took place. It's said to be home to around 90 million people, but there is a deadly solar radiation from a parent star, so sometimes the people cannot even go outside for longer than a few seconds for certain times. But this is the interesting part about this. The planet is home to leviathans, which are kept away thanks to repulsor towers and military bases. Now, this does sound a lot like Kings Canyon when the leviathans came. There's repulsor towers. So, was this an area where the war took place? Was Kings Canyon a small little island that was a part of the frontier? Similar to how Hawaii has a bunch of islands or the Bahamas has a bunch of little islands. Was Kings Canyon one of the islands after the war that they decided to use for the Apex Legends game? But since the tower fell, they obviously had to leave because the Leviathans are very dangerous. So, according to Bangalore, Gridiron is where the final battle of the Frontier War happened, with no one returning from it. So, that would explain why there's such a big Leviathan skeleton in Skull Town, why a lot of it is kind of empty, and Kings Canyon at the beginning felt such like opened world, why there were small little houses and why later the Leviathans came in, destroyed it, and a lot of new buildings were made. So this leads me to believe that Kings Canyon was a very familiar place for Bangalore, hence why Bangalore wanted to come into the Apex games to begin with, because she was searching for her brother in Gridiron, which is where the final battle happens. So Kings Canyon, I believe to be a part of Gridiron, which would make sense onto why Bangalore is in the Apex games, because her primary goal is to search for her brother, and since she did fight in the war, she does have a good amount of I guess skills that she's acquired, so she is very familiar with the land. I don't know if I said this or not, but every legend in Apex is in the Apex games for a reason. They all do have something to offer and they're all connected in a certain way, which is something I find very interesting. Well, guys, that's the video right there. That's the Bangalore lore. That's everything I have to cover. You guys have to remember that when I make these videos, I do chop them up a bit. I edit them. I record something and maybe I move it around. So certain things are spread out. But for the most part, that's everything regarding Bangalore that I know and I was able to find. A couple other things are suggestions and ideas that I've been thinking for a while that hopefully Apex does cover, or they do, let us know if it's true or not later on in other trailers. But without further ado, guys, it's your boy Lucky. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification. Thank you for watching the video, As you guys can tell, I'm still sick, but thank you so much for supporting me. It's your boy Lucky, and I'm out of here.